What's up, everybody? Today I want to be doing a video on the next series in our TrueNAS Fundamentals course. So we're going to be looking at data protection today. Data protection is super important, and I know the number one complaint is a lot of people talk about this subject and show you guys how to do snapshots and replication tests, but don't ever show you guys how to restore your data in the event of a loss. So we're going to be covering all that today. I'm going to be covering everything in the data protection tab, including all of these squares right here, and I'm going to be spending a specific amount of time in periodic snapshot tests and replication tests. So let's start right now. The first thing I want to talk about is your scrub test box up here and the periodic smart test box down here. Scrub test basically means your TrueNAS system is going to look at your hard disk and make sure there's no corrupt blocks or any kind of data corruption or bit rot that might be happening. So if you don't see both your pools over in here, you're going to want to go ahead and click add, find your pool name, change your threshold days to probably like 7 or so, or maybe 6. Go ahead and hit your schedule for probably weekly, I think should be enough, and go ahead and hit save. Your threshold days are important because if you set the threshold days to something larger than your schedule, so say for example is a weekly schedule, it means it runs once a week. If my threshold days are anything higher than a 7, basically what it's saying is it hasn't been enough days between scrubs for the system to tick another scrub. So if I had this set something like 8, on the 7th day, if I did it this Sunday, and then next Sunday it tried to do it again, it will only have been 7 days, and that's not over the threshold minimum of 8. So because 8 is the threshold minimum, it would then wait another week before it's scrubbed again. So for some reason, the default is, you saw guys was set at 35. If I did that and I set a weekly schedule, my scrub wouldn't actually happen weekly. It would happen once every 5 weeks. So that's why you got to make sure your threshold days is smaller than whatever schedule you have. Go ahead and close out of this. Now let's come down here to the smart tests. For some reason, this isn't always populated, but if you do, you're going to want to click this, click all disks. You're going to want to run a short test, and I do it pretty much weekly. This is a great way to go ahead and make sure your smart testing is done. If you don't already have scrutiny, you should definitely check out that other video on how to set up scrutiny. It's a more granular way of looking at your hard drive smart test results, but TrueNAS needs to be doing this every single week, so you're going to want to go ahead and set up a smart test weekly, maybe daily if you want to go that hard, and just do a quick short one. If you want to do a second smart test, you can do a long test maybe once a month or something like that. I wouldn't do a whole lot of long tests, but definitely just do a bunch of short tests, at least one a week, just to make sure your hard drives are staying safe. Let's go ahead and look at cloud sync tasks. So over here, we'll have the opportunity to add some credentials. So if you have some credentials and you don't have them yet, go ahead and click add new, and then you'll have all these options to do some really cool stuff. So for something like Amazon S3, for example, they're going to ask you for your access key ID, your secret key ID, and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. Backblaze, same thing. They're going to want your key ID and application key. If you want to use something like Google Drive, it's going to ask you to log in using OAuth. This is what I do. I think it's pretty convenient because once you click the login, it's going to just pretty much ask you to log in and fill out all this information for you. But no matter what cloud credential you want to use, you want to go ahead and find one and then just set up the credential and click save. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this right now because what I want to do is I want you to see the rest of it, a real example with an actual cloud sync task. This is my actual production TrueNAS box, and this is my cloud sync task to my Google Drive. And you'll see here I have the option for push, what folder I want it to be in, the transfer mode, for example, and then what exactly I'm backing up, and the time of day I'm doing it, all these things. I'm going to walk you through some of these options. Basically, mine is using my Google Drive credential. I've just called it Google. My direction is important. You have the option of doing a push or a pull. I always want to be pushing from my TrueNAS to my Google Drive. I don't want to go the other direction. But in the event you do need to restore your data, you're going to want to set up the same cloud sync task, except you want to do a pull. This is the location on my Google Drive, which I'm saving everything. It's just a backups folder. The transfer mode is pretty important, so this will tell you exactly what the transfer mode is, and I like sync the best. It says files on the destination are changed to match those on the source. So in other words, my destination is Google. Files in Google are changed to match those on TrueNAS. If a file does not exist on TrueNAS, it's also deleted from Google. That's important because if I use one of these other transfer modes, for example, like copy, in the event that something on the source is deleted, for example, if I delete a file on my TrueNAS, it stays on my Google Drive, and that's just going to just suck up all my space in my Google Drive. I don't want to do that. Same thing with move. If your files are copied from the source destination, they delete it from the host. Never do this. This is basically saying, hey, copy something from TrueNAS to Google and then delete it from my TrueNAS. And of course, I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to delete anything from my TrueNAS. So I keep everything in sync. You have the option of picking which directories you want here. So you'll see here, I've selected It usually shows me which ones I selected. I guess it's not doing that now, but I already have that up here. You can see here there's a comma-separated list of just individual directories I've checked because I don't want to check everything. I don't want to be backing up my media, for example. My schedule is set to 1 a.m. every single week, or day, I'm sorry, 1 a.m. every day. You have some options here in the event that you want to follow any of these. These are really good. I don't have to do any of that stuff. These are the advanced or most options. I don't need any of that stuff. I've just set mine to pretty much high bandwidth. And that's it. You can click dry run, and dry run will basically show you, hey, if you ran this cloud sync task, this is what it's going to back up. But I wanted to show you guys what an actual cloud sync task is something like Google looks like, just so you can see some of these options. All right, let's get to some of the more important parts of data protection. The first thing is a snapshot task. Snapshot tasks are amazing. They're one of the best features of ZFS, and if you're not using them, I strongly recommend it because they take almost no space and they will help you in the event of a major problem. A snapshot basically tells ZFS to take a quick shot of the system and see what it looks like in its initial state, and it's going to create a backup like that. But here's the cool part. Every snapshot after that is only going to basically do a differential backup, so it's only going to be any changes since the last snapshot. So that keeps snapshots super small after the initial snapshot is taken, and rollback is super simple in case you suffer any kind of catastrophe. So let's go ahead and add a snapshot task. In this case, I want to use my configs dataset because configs is really important. There's a lot of cool things in there I need. I'm going to leave the schedule normal. It's basically going to say that these snapshots will last 2 weeks. You can make them last 2 years if you want. I think 2 weeks is fine. It's more than I'm going to need. I'm going to go ahead and set this to recursive as well because configs is a bunch of other datasets underneath it, and I want all of them. So now let's go ahead and hit save. And you'll see here that configs now has a snapshot task ready. Now, here's the problem. It's not going to run yet, and it hasn't run yet because it's not midnight. So if I want to go ahead and do that now, I'm just going to go ahead and go to tank, then configs, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a snapshot right now. You can see there's already a snapshot taken from another testing time that I did, and I have a snapshot task as one. So let's go ahead and create a snapshot here, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit it recursive and hit save. And there we go. That was that simple just to create a snapshot. It's now backed up all this data in a snapshot on TrueNAS. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to simulate here a change so I can show you guys how to recover from a loss. Let's go in here and let's say I'm going to mess something up on purpose. So because I've done a snapshot here, let's say, let's go into Recycler. So I'm going to come into the shell really fast. I'm going to show you what this is going to look like. So first off, I'm going to do sudo, and then I'm going to come into my directory for, let's look at Recycler. Now there's all kinds of cool stuff in here. Let's say, for example, I'm going to simulate a loss. This command remove-rf/star is going to remove everything inside this folder. So I'm going to say yes. So now let's look at it again. Now there's nothing in Recycler. So this is going to simulate for whatever reason, maybe data corruption or data loss. But either way, my Recycler is now toast. It won't run. So let's come back over to my data set. Now I'm going to go ahead and restore this data set. Let's go over to my, so in this case, I'm looking at Recycler. It says there's 2 snapshots. Let's go ahead and manage these snapshots. So here's the last one I just took at 7:57. So let's come back over here, and now let's go ahead and roll back to this. Now rollback was going to basically say that in the event that I need to go back to the data the way it was, it's going to change whatever's in this data set to whatever it was when I took the snapshot. So all those files I deleted that are in the snapshot, I can roll back and use them again. So it's now going to go ahead and say, let's use a manual snapshot to roll back. And it's going to say stop rollbacks if there's a newer snapshot than this. So basically, they're giving you some options. Say, for example, I have 2 snapshots. So you can see that one was created at 7:53, the other one was created at 7:57. So at 7:53, if I was to roll back to this one, I might not want to do that because there's actually a newer snapshot with probably newer data. So this is going to say stop the rollback if that's true. So this is basically just a safety check. So let's go ahead and say I want to roll back to this. If in the event there's a newer one, yes, stop the rollback, but there's not. This is the newest one. So I'm going to go ahead and say rollback. So it's going to say data set rollback from snapshot, data set rolled back to snapshot. Good, go to storage. So now it's telling me it's been rolled back. So let's go over here to my shell, and let's see if it's actually rolled back. Look at that. All my data is right there. So you can see the restoring is super simple from a snapshot. All I do is click rollback, and it puts my data right back the way it was. The reason this is important is, say, for example, I want to go ahead, well, in the event I lose something for sure, but in the event I want to change something in my recycler.yaml file, for example, say I want to make a change to recycler.yaml, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing. I may break my recycler instance, and man, I don't know how to go back to the way it was. I can easily just take a snapshot before I made any changes, make the changes, and if the changes break something, roll back to before I made my changes. Everything will just work that simply. So it's really easy to use snapshots and just do a rollback like that, just to make sure everything is good. And you can see all your snapshots here. In the event you want to search for one specifically, I can just type recycler, and you can just see those right there. So that's a pretty simple way to do snapshots and how to roll back in the event of some kind of major catastrophe to a previously taken snapshot. Now I want to get into some of the beefier parts of data protection, which is a replication task. You notice here I have an rsync task and a replication task, and there is a very big difference, and the difference is going to be about the way the ZFS file system works. Rsync is great for things like directories, and replication is great for things like data sets. And because we're working in ZFS, which is what TrueNAS uses under the hood, we're going to have a lot more data sets than we will directories. So like, for example, when I come over to data sets here and I go to my tank, you'll see that media here is a data set. But we know that media has got movies, TV, and downloads underneath them as directories. We can't see them here because this UI only shows us data sets. That's why it's called the data sets tab. But there are other directories underneath media. So if I was going to use rsync would be great for those directories. But if I want to back up or move or protect this entire data set, I'm going to want to use a replication task. Let's come over here and look at replication tasks. So I'm going to want to scroll down. I'm going to want to go ahead and click add here. So let's build a new replication task. So the source location is going to be on the system, and the destination location is going to be on the system. Later, I'm going to do a video on TrueNAS buddy backup, where I pretty much talk about how to back up your TrueNAS from one TrueNAS server to another TrueNAS server in a different location over NetBird. That'll be a totally different video. For now, we're just going to stick to doing things on the system. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to want to replicate my media data set to this pool, from this pool tank to this other pool dozer. So I'm going to change here. I'm going to go to dozer, and I actually want to create, there we go, like that, a set, because right now dozer has no data sets on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do /media. So it goes from tank /media to dozer /media. I definitely want to do it recursive, and the reason I want to do it recursive is because I want to make sure that everything under media gets captured as well, because I know there's some directories underneath here. When I come down here, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And it's going to say, hey, there's a schedule for it. It'll run at midnight, and it's going to run on a schedule, and it's going to be same as source. I'm going to hit save. There we go. So let's come over here to edit. Before I run this, I can run this manually. I can wait for midnight. But if I want to run it manually, I'm going to go ahead and click this. In this case, I'm going to edit it first. So I want to make a couple of quick changes. First thing I want to do is I want to change my dataset read-only policy to ignore. The reason for this is if I leave it to set, when it goes over to my dozer pool, the data set is going to be read-only, and I don't want that. I might want to edit the data. The other thing I want to make sure I'm doing is talking about my snapshots. So in this case, the way that replication works is TrueNAS is going to take a snapshot of the data and then replicate based on that snapshot. So if there's already a snapshot that's been taken, you're going to want to go ahead and drop down here and find the existing snapshot task. In my case, I don't have a snapshot for my media data set, so I'm going to let it just make one, and then every single time the snapshot is taken, this replication is going to run automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. There we go. So now we've got, it says no snapshots taken yet. When I run this, it's going to create a snapshot task, and then it's going to go and replicate based on that snapshot task. So let's go ahead and run this. There we go. It was successful. So let's go back to my data sets now, and let's see what's going on here. So there we go. Dozer now has media. So we have tank media, which is 1.73 megabytes, and then we have dozer media, 1.73 megabytes. And you'll see here, it kept all my permissions. So my Unix permissions are apps, other, 770, just like it was on tank. Everything is exactly the same way it was. Let's come back over here to data protection. And you'll see here now I also have a new periodic snapshot task. At midnight every single day, tank/media is snapshotted, and every single time that snapshot fires, it's going to fire my replication task, and it's going to replicate from one storage pool to another. And in this case, I just used a different storage pool called dozer, which I just created just to show you guys what it's like to go between pools. But really, your endpoint can be anywhere. It could be a different pool. It could be a different system. It could be a different place on your network. It doesn't matter where the endpoint is. The thing that matters is that you guys learn how to set up this replication task so you can go from one place to another. Okay, so now we're going to simulate some data loss and some restore. So say, for example, in my data sets, I want to restore this data set, this media data set, back to tank. I don't want to overwrite the media file. You guys can do that if you want to. I'm going to choose not to. I'm going to choose to restore this to a different data set. But if you just want to overwrite the existing data set for whatever reason, you can do a restore and set the target as being the same thing as it is right here. So let's go ahead and go back to data protection. I'm going to go ahead and look at one of these buttons down here. We've already looked at edit. We've looked at run job. Let's look at the restore button. I'm going to go ahead and click this restore button. I'm going to say this is going to be called restore media. So I'm going to go ahead and say, where's my destination going to be? Tank. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be tank And I'm going to actually make a new data set here. It's going to be new media, just like that. Tank new media is going to be my place I'm going to go. So I want to go over here and hit edit, and I want to just make one change. I want to make this to ignore, change my data set read-only policy back to ignore, so that's not read-only. I want to be able to make edits. Come over here and click save. Then I'm going to enable this, and then I'm going to go ahead and run it and do a restore. Now I'm going to click OK. So there we go. So the restore said less than a minute ago. Let's go to my data sets now. Let's come over to tank, and you'll see new media is right here. So new media contains the same thing as the media over here, which contains the same thing as the media over here. So media went from here to here on a backup task, and then I restored it all the way back down here to new media. Again, I could have overwritten the media folder. That's okay. In this case, I just chose to call it new media. But in the event that you suffer any kind of major loss, you can come down here and just basically do a restoration task. And it's going to set up a replication task, and it's basically the exact opposite task as this one. This one is tank media to dozer media, and this one is going to be dozer media to tank new media. That's basically what it did. It just created a new replication task for me. That's the complete opposite of this replication task. Very simple to do like that. It worked really well, and you can see the restore worked perfectly. So that's how I would restore my data in the event of catastrophic loss. So I hope this video is really helpful for you guys. I strongly encourage you to come in here and make sure you have these data protections set up, because this is exactly why TrueNAS was invented, was to keep our data safe. So please like and subscribe to this channel if you like what you saw. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments thread below. If you have some really technical questions, please post them to the Discord support forum. That's where we get all of our really in-depth conversation done. Thank you guys so much for liking and supporting what I do. And if you really want to say thank you, please buy me a coffee.